higher fees at the expense of their clients. Of course they do. They want the most amount of fees. The former SEC chair warns they do things to make sure that you keep getting your stream of management fees. So what they're doing is they're rating their own book. They're picking the things that have the highest fees to make their fund look like it's doing better. They cherry pick and they pay the valuation firm. So they have this vested interest, or this, I should say, conflict of interest, where they pay the fund or the firm to give them a good credit rating. And if they don't pay them, then they don't get a good credit rating. So that's why it's a conflict of interest. Now, if we peek under the hood and we start looking at the real data, we can start to see just how bad this is. And I put here, cooking the books, because again, this is all a conflict of interest, and that's how they're getting away with it. So if we go by loan, I didn't go through 2,300 loans. I'm using some of the research by this guy, Nick. I'll put a link to his full research down below if you want to get it. But we can see here, he went through and did the work that your regulator is supposed to do. He went through and did the work that you would hope that the SEC or some sort of regulator would do to protect you. Maybe your fund manager, pension fund manager. Of course, they don't, because they all want their cut. But let's take a look at what he did. So he went loan by loan, 2,330 positions. That's a lot. Good thing we have AI today to do that. But he went through and researched hundreds of them. And here's what he found. 189 loans where borrowers couldn't pay cash interest. So we have borrowers who can't even afford to pay the interest on their loans. But instead of defaulting, instead of calling the loan due, which would cause them to mark those loans down, instead, they just let them roll it into their principal. I understand you're too broke, you can't afford your payments. Don't worry, we're not even going to give you a delinquency. We're just going to allow you to continue to roll that into the principal. We're going to give you more credit because you can't pay for the credit you have right now. They saw that 58 of those were loans that had to be restructured entirely because they couldn't even afford to keep making the payments, and they kept putting it into the principal, and they couldn't afford that either. Over 50 loans where borrowers aren't generating enough cash to service their debt at all. So on paper, it looks like they keep making money. On paper, the fund's doing amazing. On paper, they report no losses, but when you peek under the hood, you can see that's not the picture at all. What the industry calls non-accruals. They carry on the book at full value. The reason why they want to carry on the book at full value is, again, so the fund looks like it's doing good. Not quite a Ponzi scheme, sort of like a Ponzi scheme. But the interesting thing is, the question is, how many of these non-accruals does Cliffwater officially report? What do they actually show? Well, the answer is 0. You see, so they're cooking the books. But how do they get away with it? Well, they get away with it, again, because they pay the rating agencies to come in and mark their book. And as long as they mark their book to still be accurate,